to episode 5 of the Easier Said Than Done podcast. My name is Brendan Donahue. With me is Bob Horgan and Dave Toscano. Fellas, how we doing?
Same as usual. Pretty good.
Yeah, doing good. We got some big news coming from me and Don's side. 2 podcast mics coming in, so the sound quality is about to explode on next week's podcast. But
yeah, I was hoping. I was telling them that I checked the Amazon tracking this morning and it said delivered between 10 and 2. So I was all giddy that I was going to get a brand new microphone, going to sound great. And then Amazon decides to change it to somewhere before 10 p.m. tonight. So, screw Amazon. So
how many orders do you think an Amazon delivery guy drops off at a college campus on a daily basis?
I bet you here it's somewhere around 1,000.
I feel like everyone's always
maybe less, like 500 a day.
Yeah, thousands. That's a lot of labor right there.
I know, but if you think about it, there's like, 9,000 kids that probably live in Durham or on campus.
Yeah. There's a chance.
Yeah. I bet you they drop off a decent amount at the college post office and the MUB. So today, just a quick run through of what we're going over. We're going to talk a little college basketball, talk a little Champions League, and talk a little baseball. The guest today, really cool guest that we have on, Zack Hample, otherwise known as the foul ball guy. If you don't recognize that name and you're a baseball person, he's collected over 11,000 foul balls, including A-Rod's 3,000th hit and Mike Trout's first career home run. He's developed quite the following as a ball hawker, if you will, within the baseball community. And his director / videographer / right-hand man, Chris, who also does the on-field replay for the Yankees and the Mets. So a really cool opportunity for us to sit down and talk to them, kind of chop it up about everything between, who has the best food to what it's like as a normal day at the ballpark, what they do trying to get from point X to point Y during a game. Really cool stuff that, you might not be able to hear on his normal content. And then after that, we'll go into our gambling roundtable, and that'll be it. So, since last time we talked, the big teams and kind of like what happened. Michigan beat Iowa by 22, beat Indiana by 16, and then lost to Illinois by 23. Important to note that they lost to Illinois by 23 without Ayo Dosunmu. It was reported that he was going to play pregame, but did not. Ohio State lost to both Michigan State and Iowa. Kansas got upset Baylor, and then Baylor also went on to beat West Virginia on Tuesday. Oklahoma State, with 3 straight wins over ranked opponents to put them into the top 25. They beat Texas Tech and Oklahoma twice. Florida State lost to UNC over the weekend and then manhandled BC by 30 points last night. Arkansas has now won 7 in a row. And Villanova lost to Butler, but then beat Creighton last night. But important to note that they lost senior point guard Colin Gillespie. They're probably the heart and soul of their team, and it sounds like it's going to be a serious injury that might keep them out for the NCAA tournament. Jay Wright said it is serious. Bob, where out of those results catches your eye the most?
Oklahoma State, definitely. I think me and Dave have kind of been big on the Oklahoma State bandwagon. They look really good right now. Cade Cunningham had a huge game on Saturday, and then they followed it up with a big win at home. Same team, Oklahoma, but their rival. I'm not going to put a lot of stake into that Florida State UNC loss. The ACC is just kind of beating up on each other. And then another team I want to touch upon is Michigan. Just when you thought, Michigan was the team that could probably be the other. I mean, Gonzaga obviously is kind of untouched, and they're going to be untouched until the tournament. But just when you kind of thought Michigan was the other team, they go and get blown out at home too. With, again, you said Ayo Dosunmu was out. I'm definitely interested. This is a big week because it's the end of the tournament, end of the regular season schedule, and then we're going into conference tournament play. So we're going to find out more about kind of the teams that are supposed to be the good teams, but again, college basketball every year is just it's probably the best single event or single sport during the regular season because anybody can beat anybody, and we kind of saw that this week.
Yeah, but I think that Michigan lost to Illinois. I don't think it takes them out of the Michigan, Gonzaga, Baylor, and versus everybody else conversation. I think Michigan still belongs next to Baylor and Gonzaga. These losses happen. Like Kansas beats Baylor. It is a little alarming that they got manhandled that much without Dunsuma, but I still think that this is a team who should be favored to not only go to the Final Four, but maybe even win the tournament. Hunter Dickinson, like that whole team is just, they look all, with the exception of that Illinois, they always look just so calm.
Solid.
And like,
they're just solid.
Yeah, it's just Juwan Howard's been such a good hire for them. He seems like he's going to be the next great college basketball coach. That might be kind of preemptive and jumping the gun, but it's tough to argue about it considering the results this year. Dave, what about you? What caught your eye this week?
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State, we're going to keep riding that train. Me and Bob really like them. I'm sure a bunch of other people do. But we also want to talk about Illinois a little bit. They had a good rebound from that loss to Michigan State the other week with W's over Wisconsin and Michigan, and they got another big opportunity coming up this week to make their case for a number 1 seed versus Ohio State on Saturday. That should be a really good game. And then I want to talk a little bit about the A10 mid-major conference. I mean, that tournament, it started yesterday, and it's pretty wide open. I mean, you've got 2 teams that are expected to get bids into the tournament in St. Bonaventure and VCU, and then also St. Louis, who's knocking on the door. They kind of got derailed with COVID. They were ranked earlier in the year, and then they ran into a lot of issues, so that kind of took them out of the spotlight. But all those top teams have had bad losses to some of the bottom feeders in the league. And I hope you know where I'm going with this, because my boys UMass will go through this tournament. And if they beat St. Louis tomorrow, watch out. I'm just saying, anything can happen in this tournament, especially this year. It's not the strongest that the A10's been. And UMass played lights out today. They shot crazy. They put up about 100 points. I turned the game off early, but if they keep that up into tomorrow, then it's possible that they beat St. Louis.
What's the bet you have with Miles?
Oh, if UMass makes the Sweet 16, he owes me like $500.
$100.
Yeah, it was
yeah, and if it doesn't, then you owe him $5.
Yes.
So you pretty much just gave Miles $5.
Hey, at the beginning of the year, I thought they weren't going to lose some of those games they were going to lose, but they also had a lot of COVID issues. So
faith in his guys. He's putting faith in his guys.
Yeah, no problem with that. They're still in it, unlike UNH.
Yeah, we put faith in our guys, and they blow it as the 3 seed and go lose to a bum-ass UMass Lowell.
That's tough.
As John Rothstein always just says, this is March. If you are a college basketball fan or a sport fan, you probably know that this is the best month of college basketball action, which is, in my opinion, the best kind of month of the sports year, especially once 2 weeks from now, March Madness rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, the things that caught my eye, Baylor has not been the same team since they came back from COVID. I know that they came from behind to beat West Virginia at West Virginia, but struggled to beat Iowa State, struggled vastly against Kansas. They were not good in that game at all. They're going to finish the season out with games against Texas Tech and Oklahoma, I believe. Oklahoma State. Yeah. Those 2 games going into the Big 12 tournament, they've already won the Big 12 regular season title. But you kind of need to take advantage of these next 5 games or so if you're Baylor to get your mojo back, especially going into March where anything can happen once you hit the tournament. This is going to be a big weekend for Baylor. Arkansas, like I mentioned, has now won 7 straight games. I don't know what I need to see from Arkansas specifically. I still just don't see it. I think they're kind of fraudulent. I think that they have 4 seed that loses to 13 seed kind of look to them. If they ran into like a Winthrop or a Belmont, those are teams that I think could really give them a run for their money. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is Ohio State losing to Michigan State and Iowa. I don't think those are two bad losses. And to some extent, I think that you can kind of give them some leeway because they do have some good wins this season. But they were really exposed. They have no size in the post. Any team that has a big guy, which, I mean, if you look at the Big Ten, it's nothing but good big guys. Like between Hunter Dickinson, between Luka Garza, between Micah Potter, between, I forget the guy at Purdue's name, he's number 50.
Kofi Cockburn.
Yes. I mean, all of these teams. So that, I mean, I could see Ohio State struggling in the Big Ten tournament. And if they get the right seeding, that could be a case for them to struggle in March.
You know what I love about March is that you can be the best team. Just because Gonzaga is the best team right now, they're not touched. It's all about matchups. It really, at the end of the day, it comes down to how you match up with the team. Again, like Ohio State, I kind of think they were a little bit overrated, but, you know, they come out and they might not get a section where they have to go against a good big, and they can kind of just play how they've been playing. But I think that's how it is in March. It's if you have a good matchup and you can expose it, you'll win the game. But you'll run into games where you just get screwed with your matchup and you pray to God you win.
I also think that Villanova losing Colin Gillespie opens up a door for a Big East team that might not have made the tournament to get to either the championship or even win the Big East tournament.
Providence.
Right now, it's 1 Nova, 2 Creighton, 3 UConn, 4 Seton Hall, 5 Xavier. Xavier's on the outside looking in right now. Seton Hall's probably like towards the last 4 in. UConn could use that to go from like a 7 seed to a 5 seed, something like that. Creighton could use that to go from a 5 seed to like a 4 or 3 seed. So that's something that I think we need to keep an eye on. Anything else from you guys about college basketball?
Shouldn't sleep on Michigan State. It seems that every team we talk about, they just lost to Michigan State. If they manage to get their way in, they could definitely make some noise.
Yeah, I mean, something to be said for marquee programs that get in and are low seeds. I mean, just look at Kentucky. I think it was 2013. They were an 8 seed going in, and they had all the talent in the world, but just didn't really put it together during the regular season until late. And I think that was the team with the Harrison twins. Bob, was James Young on that team?
It was the Harrisons, James Young, and then it was Terrence Jones on that squad too.
Maybe. It might have been one of those teams. But, like, they went on to go beat the number 1 seed in Wichita State. They made it all the way to the Final Four. I think actually they might have made it to the championship game. That might have been the UConn year. I can't remember the year. But, I mean, you have Tom Izzo. There's a couple of really good players on that team. Josh Langford's a hell of a point guard. Rocket Watts, that's an electric name. So we'll see what happens with them. They're going to probably need to win a game, 1 game at the minimum, to keep their name in contention to get into the tournament. If they win 2, then I would say that they're firmly in. If they lose first game, it might be tight. They're going to have to depend on other teams.
They have Michigan twice this
That's
week.
another one. Yeah, I think if they split that, one of those 2, then that also puts them in.
Yeah.
All right, so we are now going to hop into the soccer portion of the show a little bit early for today, but, we're changing things up a little bit. No Champions League games this week. Second leg of 4 of the games, are going to be coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, Porto is going to Juventus. Porto's got a 2-1 advantage. Juventus got that important away goal from Fernando Chiesa. Sevilla is going to Dortmund. Dortmund has a 1-goal advantage, but they have 2 away goals. So Sevilla is most likely probably going to need 2 goals, at least maybe 3 to get through. On Wednesday, Leipzig is going to Liverpool. Liverpool is up 2-0 with 2 away goals. And then Barcelona is going to PSG, down 4-1, and PSG has 4 away goals. So it's going to be tough. We'll start with that one, the big one. It's going to be tough for Barcelona to get through here. They're going to need a flawless performance, but they've done exactly this about 3 years ago. They were down, was it 4-0 or 4-1?
Actually, I wrote it down. They were down 4-0, and then they won 6-1.
Yeah, so they won 6-1 in the second leg. And then they just did the same thing yesterday. They're playing against Sevilla in the Copa del Rey semifinals. They were down 2-0 in the first leg. PK scored a goal in the 96th minute to bring it to extra time, scored again in extra time and went through. So they're in the final now. So, I mean, it's not completely unthinkable, but it's unlikely, we'll say that. And it should be noted that the time that they did that against PSG previously, they had Neymar, they had Luis Suarez. So, I mean, it's a different team for sure, but they still have that guy, Leo Messi. So who knows?
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but you never know.
It could.
It could, yeah. I mean, but PSG has 4 away goals, and they're playing at home. It's not going to happen.
Probably not. And then we're going to –
who did
go ahead,
Barcelona,
sorry.
who did they come back from down 4-0?
PSG. Same team.
I was gonna say PSG is like actually like really good, and it's like basically one of the best teams in the world. So I was gonna be kind of tough.
PSG didn't have Mbappe though, so I mean, minus 2 of the world's best attackers for Barcelona, and then you add 2 of the world's best attackers for PSG. So it's very, very different.
If you were watching that game, that was one of the most wild games ever. 6-1, they just scored. Oh, it was crazy.
Did you watch that game, Bob, or have you ever seen the highlights for it?
I've seen some. I remember the moment happening. I think we were in like high school baseball tryouts, and I remember some kids being like, "Holy shit! Like, did you see what happened?" Like, we were.
Yeah, no. So
after
they were
like,
down,
what the hell is
4-0.
happening?
They were down 4-0. I think they scored 2, and then PSG scored. So they knew that they were going to need 4 more. They scored 1. Then Neymar drew a PK. Then Neymar hit a free kick. And then literally in the last 30 seconds, they threw everyone into the box and somehow snuck one in. I think it was Sergio Roberto. So, I mean, literally probably the closest thing that 28-3 for the Pats has ever been in soccer. And then we'll just work our way back. So the other Wednesday game is going to be Red Bull Leipzig against Liverpool. Liverpool's kind of, I'm not going to say that they've gotten their form back, but they've halted the skid a little bit. Needed that. I mean, they really needed to play a shitty opponent, and having a game against Sheffield, who was in last, I think helped. They just beat them 2-0 on Sunday. Another one, I don't see Leipzig getting through here. Liverpool, at home, Leipzig's going to need – it's going to need to be 2-0 for them to go to extra time. And then if Liverpool scores 1, they're going to need at least – or more than 1, they're going to need at least 3. So I just don't see that one happening. I don't think they have enough offensive firepower.
Yeah, the game's actually in Budapest. I don't think that'll make much of a difference. That was just news that came out last night, I believe. But similar to the Dortmund game, I guess all the other games, other than the Juventus game, the away goals are going to come into play, and Liverpool has 2. So it's a steep hill for Red Bull to climb, and I don't think they don't have the same quality as Liverpool. So I think even though Liverpool hasn't been playing the best they can, obviously they've had injuries, but yeah, I mean, they just have more quality, and that quality is going to bring them through the next round with a 2-0 lead.
And then Tuesday, Sevilla is going to Dortmund. That game's either going to have a million goals or it's going to have no goals. And the way that Dortmund tends to defend it might be a million again, which is kind of doesn't really work in Sevilla's favor, especially having to come back here. They're not a high-scoring team by any means. They like to win a lot of games, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 kind of range. But Dortmund has Erling Haaland. They have Marco Reus. They have Julian Brandt. I mean, they just have attackers on attackers on attackers. Jadon Sancho, forgot to mention that one. That's a big one. I mean, do you see any – I'm not going to say it's inconceivable to think that Sevilla gets through here, but this is another one where it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but Dortmund has 3 away goals. It's going to be really tough for Sevilla to come back. They're basically going to have to win by 2 goals and have a perfect game. I don't see it happening, but it's definitely going to be probably the most fun game to watch out of the 2 on Tuesday, I think. Which one would you rather watch, the Juve Porto or Dortmund?
So I think it's going to have to – it's all going to – you're going to find out in the first 10 minutes, because we'll just segue right into the next one. Porto is on the opposite side. So I would say all of the other 3 games that we talked about, the favorite is in control. They're at home, and the underdog is going to have to come back to really make any noise. This is the complete opposite. So the underdog is up a goal. They're on the road. They're up by 2-1. So Juventus does have that away goal. But Porto is going to probably throw 8-9 guys behind the ball from the start. And I don't know how much – I mean, I can say that all I want. But at the same time, I was wrong about the way Porto came out last time. And that probably has to do with the fact that Juventus literally gave them a goal in the first minute. But they came out firing. I mean, they didn't really back down to Juventus at all. So I think I'd probably rather watch the Porto. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to – no, Sevilla Dortmund, because Erling Haaland's a monster. Bob, have you ever seen Erling Haaland play? He is
Not that much. I do know Juventus does that, or however you say it. They do have the GOAT.
Messi? They have Messi?
Yeah, exactly.
I think Messi plays for Barcelona. I was referring to Cristiano Ronaldo, my GOAT.
Fair enough. But, yeah, I feel like if you had to pick maybe Dortmund because of Haaland, if you haven't seen him play, you should definitely pick that one. But I don't know. If you like the classics, maybe you want to watch the Juventus game with Ronaldo. I don't know.
Bob, if I were to compare this in like basketball terms, I would say that Mbappe and Haaland are like the NBA's Luka and Zion. Like 2 just like studs that people will go out of their way to go watch just because they're that good and like they're going to be up next. Like I think Haaland's 21, 22. Mbappe is the same age. They're going to be around for a while. Like Haaland is probably 6'3", 6'4". He's wicked fast, and he doesn't have a piece of finesse in his game. Every single ball that he hits is good, trying to break the back of the net.
Yeah. He's a tank, basically.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a tank. All right, so let's segue into some baseball news here. So we're just going to kind of briefly look at the Sox. We'll go into depth more as we get closer to the season here. But pitchers and catchers report this week. Big day kind of is the unofficial spring is coming kind of accomplishment, if you will. Getting through the winter, we get to pitchers and catchers report, and all of a sudden the sun comes out and life is good again. The Sox are not the same Sox. They just traded Andrew Benintendi for 2 guys and 3 players to be named later, which is probably one of the more confusing trade packages I've ever seen in my life. Jackie Bradley Jr. was announced today, actually, that he signed a 2-year, $24 million deal with the Milwaukee Brewers. So with that being said, this is a crazy one. There are only 9 players that remain from the World Series team that won it 2 years ago. So who's coming in now? So new to the Red Sox this year, we have starting pitcher Garrett Richards, relief pitcher Adam Ottavino, utility man Marwin Gonzalez, utility man Kike Hernandez, outfielder Hunter Renfroe, and outfielder Franchi Cordero. Out of those names that I just said, do any of those catch your eye and say, oh my God, that is sexy?
Adam Ottavino. Adam Ottavino throws, I think, what is his go-to? He's got like is it a sinker I think he throws? He throws one pitch that is unreal. For people who don't know who he is, he was the Yankees, 7th, 8th inning guy with that bullpen. The Yankees bullpen is unreal. So if you're pitching in that bullpen, you're a stud. We got him on a pretty, I don't really think we gave up much. I think he has a chance to kind of come in for a year, and I don't think right now we have him as our closer. I think Barnes is still our closer, and I think Ottavino's going to be the 8th inning guy. But as a guy who I am a Sox fan, I'm pretty invested in the team. I know kind of what's going on. The Sox have needed bullpen help for forever, and Ottavino will definitely strengthen that bullpen. Another guy we didn't bring because he's not this year acquisition, but I'm interested in seeing Jeter Downs. I'm hoping he wins the second base job, actually, and that way we're seeing him every day. But I think he's our number one prospect. He's in like the top 40 in the MLB prospect rankings. Got a sick name. So I'm just hoping he kind of comes up, and then you let him, Bogarts, and Rafi figure it out, and there's your infield for the next 8 years. The Sox are not sexy this year by any means.
The only thing that's going to catch your eye is the young talent that's going to be coming in and out of the team. So
Yes.
Last year, the Red Sox sucked, but a lot of new young guys came up and impressed. So 4 names that I have written down to keep an eye on, and there's probably a couple more that I failed to mention. Number 1, Jeter Downs, like you mentioned. I don't think he'll start with the Red Sox. The way it sounds out of camp is he might come up probably like the June, July range, like a lot of those prospects end up doing. Especially with the signing of Kike Hernandez, who plays second base. They might give him a little bit of time because he didn't really play much last year. He was at that alternate site. So he wasn't really getting like meaningful game time. So they might give him a little bit of AAA time or AA time, no matter, depending on how that all goes. The other one I have written down is Bobby Dahlbeck. He's going to be first base / third base / DH. He just mashes the ball. Like if you remember Adam Dunn playing, he's very similar to Adam Dunn, where if the ball makes contact with his bat, it's a decent chance that it might go out. But the problem is that the ball doesn't make contact with the bat enough. He's going to strike out a lot. I think there was a point in the season last year where he had 6 hits and 5 of them were home runs, something like that. So, I mean, he's got crazy power. He'll be one of those guys where when he's on a hot streak, Fenway will love him, and he'll also have those times where he has a cold streak and he will get some boost. And he'll learn to embrace that. Who knows how much noise a 12% capacitated, is that how you say it? Capacitated? Yeah.
I don't know.
12% of the fans that Fenway can hold. I don't know how much noise that's going to make. That's what I'm meaning to say. The third one is Jarrett Duran. I think that's his name. I wrote down Duran and then I forgot his first name.
It's Jaron.
Jaron Duran. Just hit a home run in the spring training game that they had yesterday. He's a really speedy outfielder. I was looking at his highlights. Can run the bases well. He's very good defensively. And I think he can hit for contact, but he just showcased a little bit of power, so who knows. And the last one is Tanner Huck. Came in for 3 starts, I believe, last year, and put on a show on every single outing. I think he only let up 2 total earned runs. So very interested to see what he can do, especially at the state of the Red Sox rotation and how that's going to be. Dave, what are your thoughts on the Sox?
Yeah, not going to lie, you totally stole all my talking points, but definitely a good year for the young players. Might see some of them down the line. Jeter Downs, I'm probably most excited about. A lot of people think he's the second baseman of the future for the Sox. And then it's tough not to mention Chris Sale coming back from rehab. He's probably not going to be ready till even the All-Star break, I'd say. They don't want to rush that, obviously. And, I mean, it's not going to be the best year for the Sox. We'll see how it goes. But
I would say the ceiling for them is probably first wild card spot. I don't think that they can win this division. But if the Rays don't have a good year, if the Yankees don't have a good year, I could definitely see them kind of beating up a little bit on the AL East. Are they doing the divisions like they did last year?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I think it's back to normal.
I think it is too.
I would say getting to the wild card would be a success.
Yeah. Especially, I don't think Chris, I don't know. We get a buddy at school who's a diehard Yankees fan, and we kind of always pull his leg. But sometimes the Sox fan get to sit back and just, I will accept them not doing a whole lot because I know that they're a classic, don't do anything for a couple of years and then they'll just win the World Series. I think we just got to get healthy. That's a big – Chris Sale is obviously – he's a horse, but we got to figure out kind of what he really is because he's minimum 32, 33, which, and his arm problems, which is never good. And he's got that weird – he throws weird. One thing
He throws kind of violently.
Yeah, and just almost like his arm whipped kind of. I don't know. Weird pitching motion. You were talking about Jaron Duran. Did you see the quote Cora came out with on him?
No.
Just the quote was simply, he eats, sleeps, lifts, and plays baseball. that kind of makes me think that he just loves the game of baseball, which is huge. And I feel like he could be a guy who, again, our outfield's going to be a who's that guy. And I think all three guys are going to be, well, besides Verdugo. Sorry, Verdugo is going to be a lock. But I can see Duran getting a lot of game action, which would be good to see. Always like to have a young prospect come up.
I'll be interested to see where they put Verdugo if Duran makes the team out of camp, because I think he's got the arm to play center field, but he can also play right field. And I think his arm would kind of be wasted in left field. And I think that between them signing Gonzalez, Hernandez, having JD who can play left field, I don't think that they're going to use their better defensive outfielders in left. So it'll be interesting to see. And then there's also Hunter Renfroe. So, I mean, a lot to be seen here. I don't know how much you're going to see during spring training, but all this remains to be seen.
Cora's back too. That might be.
Yep.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
One thing too, sorry, I'm going to butt in.
Absolutely.
Do you guys know who Wander Franco is?
Say that again?
Wander Franco. He's the number one prospect in baseball. Not a Sox guy. Sorry, this is not.
Oh. Rays shortstop, right?
Yeah. He hit an absolute bomb. Sorry. Baseball's back, and I saw the highlight. I was awesome. He hit an absolute bomb. And I like baseball. Baseball back.
Was he the guy who, like, the Rays just brought up for, like, the World Series, just, like, nonchalantly?
I don't think he came up, no.
Oh, I don't know.
No. That was a highlight. He hit an absolute bomb, and having him in the division is going to be tough because you're not going to want to root for him because he's on one of your rivals, but I think he's Tatis 2.0. He's electric, so should be good.
Yeah, Tatis is coming off or going into, I guess you would say, a 13-year deal worth $340 million.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Any other thoughts before we move on? No? All right, so we are going to hop into our interview here. Like I said earlier in the podcast, with Zack Hample and Chris Yon. They are a team that do baseball videos from all over the country at all different types of baseball parks. Zack has 11,000 baseballs, including A-Rod's 3,000th hit and Mike Trout's first career home run. He got to meet them both, got autographs from them, got to talk to them. He's really made a name for himself, for better or for worse, with some people in baseball, depending on who you ask. Some players love him, some players hate him, some people love him, some people hate him. We got to talk to him and Chris about what goes on when they get to the park, who they've interacted with, what they have to do when they get there so that they don't get noticed because Zach's become so well known, and even questions like what they would do to change baseball for the better, which were some pretty interesting answers. I thought they were going to come out with like something a little bit more predictable, but 3 things that I would never think of before. So make sure you listen to the end to hear those, and we'll catch you on the flip side. All right. So we now welcome on 2 incredibly interesting people. Zack Hample is a baseball fan, collector, and connoisseur of baseballs. He has gotten over 11,000 baseballs, including Alex Rodriguez's 3,000th hit and Mike Trout's first career home run. We also welcome on Chris Yon. Chris has recorded anything and everything that you've ever seen played on a screen. He's recorded games from the Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, the NHL Winter Classic, and the Stanley Cup Finals, along with a million things that I could keep on going on for forever for. He also does the on-field replay at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field. We'll get into a little bit about that afterwards. But guys, thank you guys for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to be with you.
So Zack, so for someone who, might not have ever seen your videos, in like a minute, how would you describe what ball hawking is and like what you do when you get into these games?
Well, ball hawking is basically showing up at a baseball game as a fan and trying to catch baseballs that fly into the seats. So that's the main driving force behind what I do. I'm running all over the stadium, trying to be a good person in the process, not knocking anybody down, as people like to joke about. But in the course of that and filming it for YouTube with Chris, who's my video guy, I eat crazy food. I interact with fans and players. I show some of the architectural quirks of the stadiums. I give scoreboard updates. So there's a whole narrative arc and flow to a video that we do together that captures a day at the ballpark and really how to maximize that experience. That's what it's all about.
Nice, thank you. That's awesome. This one's gonna go in with Chris. So, Chris, as a kind of what you do, what is the most memorable game or moment that you've witnessed while actually working, where you kind of had to realize that like I'm working the game and I can't get lost in the moment of being a fan?
That would be the first game I ever shot live game for Nesson. That was at Minute Maid Park. And it was getting my first shot live on camera when the director took my shot, and just getting screamed at and berated and chewed out for a full 6 innings of the game. That's when it was, that's basically how I learned to not enjoy it as a fan and be like, oh, I'm doing camera, this is so cool. What 24-year-old gets to shoot Major League Baseball and taking pictures, selfies, and telling all my friends, and then just realizing, you know what, you're not as good as you think you are. Humble down there, big boy. Yeah, and then it was just 6 innings of just screaming and yelling, and the worst experience of my life, because I'll always remember that, because the director wanted to make you better, and I needed at that point a little bit of humbling. But I saw him after the game. I'm like, God, I'm sorry for all that to make you so mad, and if I screwed up at all, I'm sorry about that. And he turns to me and goes, great game, loved everything, let's go get a beer. So it was
Wow.
That would be the first experience where I was which was memorable, is shooting baseball and getting yelled at the whole time. I wanted to leave at that point and quit and do something else, but that was the first good memory.
Awesome. And we'll go back to Zach for the next one. So your popularity has grown over the past 3 years, and you become recognized more and more when you're at games. In the videos, it's tough not to notice, but what is the ratio of people that recognize you as the foul ball guy versus as Zack Hample? And do you like that recognition?
I don't even know how to differentiate between foul ball guy and Zack Hample when I'm at a game. I mean, if people know my name, it's because they've probably seen videos of me running around catching baseballs. No one seems to know much about my personal life, which is probably just as well, when they run into me at games. So it's really just a baseball thing. I don't know, Chris, what do you think is the ratio or the number of people that come up to me? To me, it feels like it's probably about 100 people a game on average.
It's overwhelming. I mean, I find it very difficult because we're trying to film something, we're trying to get stuff done. We have time limits where after BP, we have a certain amount of time to get an on-camera piece done. And then we have to go to an opposite side of the ballpark to shoot something or meet with someone. And in 2019, he became so popular, at least when I'm on the road, it became such a hassle that he has a disguise that he goes around the ballpark. The Red Sox gave out Dennis Eckersley hats with the long hair. And we use that on the road to get from one part of the stadium to the other so he doesn't get stopped. So he puts on the hat, it's got the hair, we give him a pair of sunglasses. And that's the only way that we can get him from center field where he was for batting practice to behind home plate to do a food thing in time where nobody stops him, because otherwise it's every 2 minutes, it's Zack, oh my God, it's Zack Hample. And we're taking photos, and it's taking 20 minutes to go from the foul pole in left field behind home plate. So I'd say it's gotten crazy. It sometimes interferes with our shooting, but we found ways around it, and him in a disguise is the way we get him.
Listen, you can't give away what the disguise is. Now people are going to look for Dennis Eckersley walking around the stadium.
Oh, we have a new one this year.
Yeah, we've been changing it up a little bit. And just to state something for the record, I'm always very happy to interact with people and meet people, and I love it when people recognize me and come up. Chris is the grumpy one. I think he'd admit that. And I've actually told Chris, like, dude, you have to be the bad guy and cut this off after a while if too many people come up to me. Like, you know, I'll be the nice guy signing autographs and doing selfies, but you have to be like, all right, like, we got to go.
I'll say that. I'll be like, thanks guys for coming out. We'll be back to the section a little later. We need to film something, and I try to pull them away. But I think of it more from a TV standpoint, where we have this, and this to shoot. We got to get it done by this time, and I need my talent where I need them to be in this time. But you do a really good job as far as signing and keeping kind of on schedule, because we've never gotten in a situation where we have to film something during the anthem or some inopportune time. So
yeah,
we make it work.
I wish I could spend more time with everyone, but usually when someone comes up to me, they want me to sign something. They might also want a selfie. They might want to ask me a question. They might want to tell me about the baseballs they caught that day. And that's easily a minute or two per person. And like I said, it can easily be 100 people per day. And if you do the math, that could be an hour and a half of time that I'm spending with people. And if I'm only in the stadium for 5 hours, that's like a third of my time where I'm not able to work. And I am there to film videos. So any individual person that I meet might think that I'm in a rush, but I guess they just have to realize that things really do get crazy. And after all, if people recognize me, it's because they like the videos. And in order to keep doing the videos that people like, unfortunately, like I said, I'm not able to just spend 10, 20 minutes shooting the breeze with every baseball fan. It's a weird dynamic to have to walk the fine line on and keep everybody happy and not be rude, but also stick to what I'm there to do.
And folks, have your cameras ready when you want a photo with them. Because a lot of times they'll hand it to me and I'll have to ask for passwords. And I'll have to scroll through your text messages.
Or yeah, the kids come up, they're like, oh, can I get a selfie? And I'm like, sure. And then they come up and it's not on selfie mode. And it's like, oh, what are you doing? I give them a hard time, but you know, it's all.
Or people want you to use your own camera and then text it to them.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, you have Zack Hample's number.
Yeah.
And it's finding that balance. And, you know, it seems like you guys do a great job with that. So Chris, I have a personal, I would say, because I was dumbfounded when I saw it. So 2018 ALDS Game 3. Many people remember that as Brock Holt hitting for the cycle.
Right.
A lot of people might remember also that Angel Hernandez had an absolute stinker of a game umpiring that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was 3 calls that were overturned, and you were the the replay technician for that game.
Right.
At what point did you come out and he was like, all right, dude, I'm sick of seeing you already?
Did you say that? Because I remember Joe West coming up the stairs one of the games that goes, if I don't see you the rest of this game, I had a good day. But as soon as I saw Angel, I'm over on the side on the visitors dugout, and they come out, and I don't know who the umpires are until they're announced. But when I see Angel come out and he's at first base, I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a busy day, because he has a reputation of being horrible with the calls. And, you know, the first time I come out, okay, that's fine. It's a big game, you know, and it's an Angel call. Okay. Second time I come out, I was like, oh, this doesn't look good for him. Third time I come out, and he didn't really say anything. The most emotion I saw was out of the crew chief, who was kind of embarrassed at this point. And this is my opinion, that, you know, we have to keep coming over because of this specific umpire. But, you know, I mean, it's part of the game. I've had other umpires where they've come over and it's been 4 plays overturned, or 5. I haven't had 5. I had 4 a couple times. So it's not just Angel. I don't want to single him out. That was just a game I think a lot of people paid attention to. But it's not uncommon to have an umpire come over, the same umpire, you know, 3 or 4 times during the course of a season. So
yeah, definitely. The dynamic between, you know, you and them must be a very interesting one, because, you know, when they see you, it's like, okay, maybe I messed up here. But, you know, I remember seeing, you know, I was in a freshman in college, and I was sitting in my dorm room, and I remember you coming onto the screen. I was like, I know that guy. And it was like, it's not Didi Gregorius. It's not, you know, Chris Sale. That's Chris.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm standing on the field, and you can feel the phone vibrate in your pocket the whole time you're out there, even in the local broadcast. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't – yeah, you don't know what you're going to get because you rotate. So I don't know, you know, I've gone 10 games without being on the field at all. And then there's a homestand where I'm out every every time there's a play. But, they want to get it right. So I don't know if they come over to us thinking, I'm the worst person they see. I think that when they come over and they get it right, I think that's more important than, feeling embarrassed. Because a lot of times, too, networks will cut to the play and they'll just keep doing the replay over and over and over again. So you don't even see the umpire involved in the play who made the bad call, because they're just showing us at the tail end when they're giving the out or the safe. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This one's kind of for both of you. How do you pick your schedule for like games to go to, and how do you guys get into so many games?
Zach, I'll let you handle that one.
Well, we get into so many games by buying tickets. There's not really a fancy answer for that. I think a lot of people assume that MLB is hooking me up, or, I have people all over the place giving me free tickets. And I do get free tickets from random people here and there, but we buy tickets to the games. SeatGeek a lot of the time, occasionally StubHub, or, directly from the teams, or walk up to the ticket windows if I know it's not going to be crowded. That's pretty much how that works. And as far as picking games, I try to avoid games that are going to be very crowded for the most part. Certainly if I'm going to opening day, I know it's going to be packed, or the postseason, but I try to never see the Yankees on the road. I try not to see the Dodgers on the road. The Red Sox and Cubs, I would love to avoid them on the road as well, just because there's a zillion fans, and what I do is made more possible when I have more room to move around. Other than that, I try to avoid any big promotions like bobblehead days or fireworks nights. And if a team is using commemorative baseballs, whether it's for one day only or for an entire season, I usually try to make a point to be there and try to catch one. And Chris deserves a lot of credit because he's a master at handling travel and logistics. So he helps a lot with planning stuff out and booking things and making it happen. Do you want to tell them more about sort of what goes into it on your end?
Yeah, we'll look at, like, if there's a commemorative ball, say in Atlanta on this day, I'll look at who's home within driving distance from Atlanta. So if the Marlins are home or the Rays are home, I'll call Zach and be like, hey, we can do 3 games here and then drive and do 2 Marlins, and then maybe on the way back stop, for driving, which we never do because I can do maybe 6 hours we can do in a car together.
Yeah, I feel like almost the Midwest would be a better example because you have more cities that are clustered up close.
Maybe Kansas City, you can do Cardinals, or you can do, we did Chicago, we did Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So I'll try to clump cities that are kind of close together that we can drive to, that we can fly out to, and then drive maybe 2 or 3 stadiums from there, and then fly home from the last stadium that we're at. So it really all depends on who's, like Zach said, who's playing. We like to go to weekday games, like Wednesday, Orioles versus Royals.
Weeknight games, I should.
Night games too, yeah.
Day games often don't have batting practice, so the more day games we can avoid, the better. But we do like going midweek. Weekend crowds are crazy, and there's usually more giveaways and less of a chance of there being batting practice. So yeah, weeknight games, that's what we aim for.
And I'll suggest stadiums I haven't been to because Zach pays for me to go. So I've never been to Seattle. I went in 2019, never been to Cincinnati, went there in 2019. So I'll also be a little selfish in booking. The videos turn out to be fantastic.
We got to get you where? To Minnesota and to Busch Stadium?
We got to go to Busch Stadium, Minnesota, Arizona, and that's it. Kansas City.
Yeah. Well,
we have 4.
I don't know how that's going to work this year with travel still being such a mess, but we'll get you there at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, this year especially, it's going to be weird. And, some teams haven't really said whether they're going to be letting teams in or letting fans in, or at what capacity. So, yeah, like you said, it's going to be an interesting year logistically wise for you guys. But, no doubt you make it work. Dave, you got the next one?
Yeah, and another one could be for both of you. Both of you spend a lot of time working with big sports personalities. Who in your mind sticks out as maybe the funniest or just the most enjoyable person to work with?
I would have to answer when I was with the Red Sox, David Ortiz, because when I was with field reporter Heidi Watney, who's known for taking a long time to interview people, And after games, we normally would have to pack our gear up and either leave it overnight, or if we're traveling on the bus, pack it and put it on the truck. But one night it was the middle of a homestand, and both buses had left. So we were in the south side of Chicago, me and Heidi, all by ourselves, and we hear a loud booming voice coming from underneath the stands, and it was David Ortiz. And he ended up giving us a ride back to the hotel in his personal vehicle. So that was a very memorable experience. David Ortiz has always been really nice to me. Gotten along with Kevin Cash. I have a relationship with him where I see him on the field. He'll know who I am, and I'll know who he is.
And how about Jim Rice, Hall of Famer?
Jim Rice, yeah, Rice and Eckersley from my Nesson days. Yeah, Jim will call me from time to time. He'll text message. He'll send my mom happy birthday wishes because there might be a little crush going on both ways.
Oh.
So, and Eckersley, yeah. So obviously every are cool guys. Everyone I worked with in television, but I think when they were playing, I think David Ortiz would be my favorite. What do you think? Clayton Kershaw for you?
Kershaw's at the bottom of my list. But I've never worked with Kershaw. I've only interacted with him a few times from the stands. I got to go with Heath Bell, who's the player that I've gotten to know best over the years. He's just such a fun-loving guy. I first got to know him in 2005 when he was on the Mets. I mean, the Mets were pretty bad then, and in September there was nobody at the games except for me, basically 2.5 hours early, yelling for baseballs and batting practice. So I got to know Heath that way. And yeah, he's been in a bunch of videos over the years. I stayed with him out in San Diego 4 years ago, and we road tripped together to the World Series at Dodger Stadium, and I filmed a vlog, and we've played catch in the street outside his place in California and filmed that. We've done a lot of road tripping and videos and meals and joking around, and I've met his whole family, and he really keeps things loose and light. I love his attitude, and I wish that more players took that approach, that baseball is a game and that fans are all right. Obviously there's jerks everywhere, and you got to watch out and protect your privacy and your safety. But Heath was always interested and excited to get to know people. He'd come over and just chat with folks while he signed autographs, threw a lot of balls into the crowd. And his on-field personality really translates to his behind-the-scenes personality. Great guy. So he's definitely my answer.
Same could be said about Kirby Yates, right?
Oh, God. All right, so Chris is trolling here. Yeah, Kirby Yates. Again, just a brief interaction with him from the stands to the field, but not the most friendly player. We can leave it at that.
So this is more of a content question. So with kind of the pandemic, obviously you couldn't have fans at the games. What went into the creative process for your content, with kind of baseball obviously being the biggest source, being out of the picture?
Well, Chris and I still hit up a bunch of games last year at a few different stadiums, places where fans weren't even allowed inside, but there was still some action to be found on the outside. I think Fenway Park was the first one, right? And they had a whole dining bar area set up on an outdoor parking garage, which is normally a garage, behind the Green Monster. And I think probably my favorite trip was when we drove to Buffalo. Was that like a 7-hour drive or something?
Yeah.
And I got pulled over for a speeding ticket and talked my way out of it.
You dealt with a lot of cops that trip.
Oh my God, yeah.
They gave you a hassle because we had to cross an on-ramp to a highway for Zach to get on a barrier to look inside the park. And
yeah, Salem Field. They weren't letting fans in, so all the action was on the outside. And there's a big like highway entrance ramp right behind the left field wall, and the local cops were always chasing people away from being on the stadium side of the road. You had to go across the road where, of course, you couldn't see anything. And yeah, a lot of cops on that trip. Oh, and then even the security guards in right field hassling me for trying to use my cup trick to grab a ball from the second level of the garage. There's a lot of shenanigans and sneaking around that goes on sometimes. And, none of it is really causing any harm, but some people like to make rules just to flex their muscles and make rules. So we have to deal with that.
Well, the minor league security guards were all over that.
Oh my God. But yeah,
I will say your glove trick with the pen and rubber band is thoroughly impressive.
Oh,
And it seems like something that should be like, easy or like logical, but with the rubber band and being able to catch things or pick it up, like it's fascinating to me. I don't know what it is.
well, thanks. I appreciate that. That's something that I came up with when I was about 14 or 15, pre-internet, so I didn't have a tutorial video to guide me through it. And I am not a science guy. I am not handy or crafty in pretty much any other way, but I just knew that I had to come up with some way to lower something from the stands and be able to pick up baseballs. And back in the early 90s, stadium security was non-existent in a lot of places. I mean, even at Yankee Stadium, which now it has more rules than the other 29 stadiums combined, you could get away with all kinds of stuff at Yankee Stadium back in the day. And baseballs during batting practice would roll right onto the warning track and sit at the base of the wall. There were no groundskeepers. There were no security guards. The players weren't coming over. And these baseballs would just sit there for 10, 20 minutes and nobody could get them. So that's really what inspired the glove trick. And for anybody listening, just go on YouTube, search my name and add the words glove trick and you'll see a tutorial video explaining how to set it up. But that's one of the many tips and tricks and strategies that I've come up with over the years.
Yeah. So, I mean, and what you do for baseball, I think is great. And I don't think a lot of people, maybe they misunderstand you or whatever, but you're trying to make the game more fun and you're adding a different element to just going to the game and just going to watch the game. There's a game within the game. So with both of you being at so many games and watching so much baseball, there's been a lot of, criticism lately with players and the unwritten rules of baseball, or, that they're just taking things too seriously and the game needs to be adjusted. What are some things that you guys would do to, get baseball's popularity back to where it was, or get some people that are back on board?
Juice the baseballs.
Juice them.
The McGuire Sosa era was fantastic. I think people want to see home runs. And this year, I think they do? They dull the baseballs a little bit, Zach?
Supposedly, but I've been corresponding with basically the head scientist / researcher, not for MLB, but her name is Meredith Wills, and she's been conducting her own studies. And she thinks that the baseballs that are supposedly going to be deader may actually still travel farther because there's going to be a reduction in drag. There's a lot of science and interesting stuff going on behind it. But so Chris wants the baseballs juiced up.
Yeah, and I want people taking steroids. Everybody who can take them.
Wow. Okay.
I want to see 500-foot home runs, and I want to see them all the time.
I think that the starting pitcher should be forced to pitch the whole game.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Either that or do like a volleyball thing where after every out or every inning, everybody rotates one position.
That would be fun. I think, imagine like, Yadier Molina playing shortstop or something like that. Like some guy with limited range whatsoever trying to play, shortstop or center field. That would be interesting to watch.
Definitely.
How about a home run derby to decide extra innings? It'd be like it'd be like hockey. Yeah, it'd be like the hockey, the shootout.
Let's get Rob Manfred listening to this. I think we could revolutionize the game. Well, we value you guys' time, and I know you guys got to get out of here. So we'll just ask you. We have one more set of rapid fire questions, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah,
so
bring it.
You guys have been to almost all of the stadiums. Zach's been to all of them, I would assume. Chris, you've been to 28 out of the 32. Is that correct?
I have 4 more to go.
So, first one. Which stadium has the best food?
Stadium with the best food. I'm going to go with Yankee Stadium, and specifically the Legends area.
What do we got in the Legends area?
What's that?
What type of food do they serve there?
I mean, everything. The tickets are insanely expensive, but once you have paid that, all the food is unlimited and free. And it's high-end stuff like lobster all the way down to hot dogs. But the desserts alone, you could make a 7-course feast out of that. And steak and sushi and salads and pasta, and they bring in specialty chefs every different game for a different signature item. It's really extravagant and excessive and fun. And I seem to make it down there about maybe once a year on average. I don't think I've ever paid for a ticket there. I do games with people called Watch with Zack games, and occasionally my clients like to splurge and they have tickets there. So that's usually how I end up there, and it is fun.
I think he said rapid fire, Zach.
Oh, sorry.
Hey,
I'm gonna go with a tie between Oakland and Miami.
really?
Yes.
Oakland.
Oakland has one of the best hot dogs in Major League Baseball.
I'm going to dispute your Oakland claim, but you do you. All right, we'll do rapid fire. I'm going to
All
do.
right.
I was kidding you. I'm busting your balls. But
Stadium that was the most pleasant surprise the first time you visited it.
ooh,
Oh.
I needed these ahead of time.
The real answer in real time.
Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Very laid back and chill and just gorgeous with the fountains there. I was there before they renovated the outfield for the first time, and just such an awesome, almost like a minor league vibe. I loved it.
I'm gonna say Tropicana Field. I thought it would be the worst place I would ever walk into, and when I walked in for the first time to work with MLB, I was like, "This isn't half bad. It's kind of cool. It's kind of quirky." So I'm gonna go Tampa.
All right. Stadium that opposite side, maybe you were expecting a ton from that maybe just didn't, live up to the expectations.
Coors Field, Denver. People rave about how gorgeous it is. To me, it is just the cookie cutter stadium of this current generation. I mean, there's very little that actually stands out there. It's perfectly nice. It's fine, good facilities, but yeah, so what is my impression of Coors Field? Sorry, Rockies fans, no offense. I like
Nationals Park is boring. I hate it.
Yes, also true.
Nothing there.
Really? Yeah. The Coors Field I've been to, and I kind of agree with you. And the only thing that I will say is the skyline in the back. If you get the game that I went to, the sunset in like the second inning, and it was coming right over, and you see the outside of like Denver right out there. So that was pretty cool.
I can do that White Sox too, by the way. If I never go to a White Sox game again, I'm fine.
So we're Fenway guys. Obviously, we're Red Sox fans. Going to a Red Sox game is like you have to take out a loan to go some of the time. It's $14 for a beer. It's $10 for a hot dog. What is Fenway the most expensive visit to a ballpark? And if not, what is?
Well, San Francisco is pretty expensive, Zach. Yankees.
I might go with Fenway just because the seating capacity is so small. The fan base is so large. It's crammed right into, a city surrounding area with very little parking. So if you park near the stadium, that's going to run you like $60. So yeah, that can definitely be expensive. Yankee Stadium is very pricey, but there's cheap seats to be had in the upper decks. So Wrigley Field is also a pretty pricey experience, again, with limited parking around the stadium, for sure.
Yeah, I would say Fenway. I guess I would agree.
And then
I go there, I don't pay for anything.
That's true too. So what is your favorite either like little intricacy or feature to a stadium that maybe someone who's never been there might not know about?
Oh, I'll tell you one about Fenway that just came to mind. And I actually featured it in a video a number of years ago. But if you're out in the seats in kind of center field, right next to where the Green Monster ends, sort of that deep triangle area, there is a back door, like at the behind the back row of seats, basically embedded in the wall. And I don't even think it's marked or anything, but you can go right out that door, and then you find yourself on those staircases that lead right up to the Green Monster seating. And it's just it's a nice little shortcut. So I was there for years and years before I realized even what that was.
Yeah, that is true. You can get up to the Monster seats right past security.
Oh, I mean, I think they're still going to check your ticket at the top.
Oh, was there a person there?
Yeah, but I'm saying like in batting practice, if you're in the stadium early and you can move around, that's certainly a quicker way to, get back and forth from one spot to another. It's all about access, cutting time, cutting distance. A lefty's up, you want to be here. A righty's up, you want to go there. So it's it's all about getting around the ballpark quickly and easily.
Well, guys, thank you so much for this. Make sure you follow Zack on YouTube, Zack Hample, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of great content coming out this season, especially being able to actually get into some stadiums this year. So we're really looking forward to seeing what you guys do this year.
We hope so. And follow Chris too, Fenway Chris.
Yeah, Yonner NYC on Instagram.
There it is.
That's where I normally post.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome, guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
your
guys.
time.
All right, so we are now in the gambling portion of the show. Last week was a tough week for the boys. Nobody had a winning record. Nobody even had an even record. Last week, I went 1-2. Dave went 1-2, and Bob went 2-3-1. Had an opportunity to go 3-3-1. Luka Garza's points was at 24, and then he just didn't score again for the last 10 minutes. He was at 24 points and then didn't score again for the last 10 minutes. And they were winning by a lot, too. So you would have thought that would have been a gimme. But, hey, you'll take what you can get. Bob, thoughts?
Tough beat on the Garza. We went 2-3-1, which we got to bounce back from. But one of our wins was a plus 180 money line, which at the end of the day kind of makes the money back. So you'll take it, and just pray for better days.
Dave, thoughts on the week?
Yeah, the only thing that went well for me was Oklahoma State, which we've been talking about. So probably just going to keep going with them, to be honest.
My Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're going to be in the tournament, and I'm going to bet on them no matter what the line is, no matter who they play. They play Gonzaga, I'll take a money line.
What Final Four? Future bet.
I don't even know. I haven't even seen any of those on DraftKings at all. Let's just go straight into this week's bets. Bob, you said you got 5, 4, 6. Where are we at?
I'll be honest. I started with 4, and on my sheet, I actually have 9 picks. They're not all. 6 of them are this week. 3 of them are futures. There were 3 or 4, and then you kind of put some thoughts into my head that I completely forgot about a big event on Saturday night where I threw in another one. But I'll kind of just roll with it, give my analysis. Saturday, I got the Cowboys of Oklahoma State on the road at West Virginia. I think they'll cover. Again, we don't know the lines yet, so it's just kind of just taking a guess on them playing a good game. Ohio State against Illinois. I think this is a big bounce back game. I think they kind of come and kind of hammer Illinois, which will be huge for them to get back on the right track. I have Providence at home covering against Villanova. Providence has a David Duke. They got AJ Reeves. I forget their big name. Their big's name. I think it's Nate Watson. They have a chance to make a run. They're one of those teams that they're always kind of out of it, and then somehow they'll sneak in the tournament. They have to win the conference this year, but give me Providence covering against Villanova at home. They'll be dogs. And Saturday night, we're talking about the big event, UFC. If you see on DraftKings, Brandon Schwab has an odds boost. I would also like to call that the Bob Horgan odds boost because that was my exact thoughts. It's a plus 250 bet to take Israel Adesanya, Amanda Nunes, and I don't know his first name, but Sterling. He's not the champion at his weight class. He's fighting Peter Yan or something like that. So those 3 guys is an odds boost. If you're on DraftKings, I like that. Saturday it's going to be sick. 3 championship fights for UFC, which is kind of a growing sport in popularity and kind of in the college realm. Sunday, I got Manchester United and Manchester City. I'm going soccer. I'm going to take the draw. The cowards pick the draw.
City's won 21 straight games.
I'm going with the draw. And then
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking the draw. I'm taking the cowards pick. And then I'm taking Michigan State to cover against Michigan at home on Sunday, senior night. That's not knowing the result of tonight's game. And then I'll throw in my 3 futures. Again, I'm probably diluting this, podcast with picks, but I got Oregon to win the Pac-12 plus 275. It's the 4th best odds in the Pac-12. I like them. And then 2, just absolute. If you want to throw $2 on them to make some money, I'm going to take Syracuse at plus 5,000 to win the ACC. And then I'm going to take Providence plus 3,000 to win the Big East.
Providence plus 3. They're probably going to have a play-in game too.
They could make a run.
All right. Dave, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
I can go because Bob seems to take my pick almost every week. We have our brains are just so similar. Man United versus Man City, draw. I also had that. I said 21 wins in a row. It's got to end soon. It's got to end at some point. And Man United's a very good team, rivalry game, derby, if you will. United going for the draw.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you, I was looking at that game. No Martial, no Pogba. Who knows? Anything can happen in the Manchester derby.
No problem.
Derby.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Bob, did you do the Michigan State game?
Yeah, I took the Sunday game, not tonight's game.
Oh. I don't know which one it is, but at Michigan State. Is that tonight or
Sunday?
Sunday?
That's Sunday.
Sunday? All right. Well, I'm going to take Michigan because the line's probably going to be a little tighter. Rivalry game.
Senior night.
I don't know. I don't know if they have fans in Michigan. Is that?
I don't know. Probably parents will get to go because it's senior night, but I don't know.
Well, even if they do, I'm still going to take Michigan.
That was Iowa. I was thinking of the game that was last Sunday, but that was Iowa versus Ohio State.
And then I love my Patriot League, so I'm coming at you with a parlay. You could do separate. Can I have this count as separate games, or does it have to count as the parlay for my record?
If it's a parlay, it'll only count as one. If they're all straights, then they'll all count individually.
All right, well, I'll say straight, but wink, wink, if you want to take it parlay, do that.
Sprinkle the parlay.
So Navy over Loyola, Colgate over BU, and Lafayette over Bucknell. There's just like a pretty big talent difference in the Patriot League. There's some really bad teams and some okay teams.
What day are those games?
I don't remember.
All right. Okay. That's
I believe it's this weekend.
Okay.
This weekend. And then future bet, I already mentioned it. If you want to throw a little bit to make a lot, put it on UMass to win the A10.
Do you know what the odds are by chance?
I do not, but I would assume they're around 5,000 or so.
Bob, you looking at it right now?
No, I don't know. Well, I don't think you can get them on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll Google it right now.
Yeah.
Odds to win A10.
I mean, it's probably high because they'd have to go through St. Louis, St. Bonaventure, and
as of yesterday, it was plus 4,000. They just beat St. Joe, so it's probably not going to change too much. So it'll probably be like plus 3,000.
Yeah, probably 35.
Yeah, we'll do that for you. You throwing a unit on that? You throwing half a unit? What are we talking here?
Man, I don't even half a unit, I guess. $5.
Okay.
Yeah, that's $5,
okay.
Right? If it's 10.
Okay, yeah.
See,
for you, it's $5. Yeah.
I'm catching on. Half a unit.
All right. So for me, I'm going to start off. My first one is going to be Belmont to win the Ohio Valley tournament, minus 130. They shouldn't have too much of a tough time. The only team that can really see them giving them a run will be Murray State. They beat SIEU last night. Southeastern Illinois Evansville University, I believe it is.
SIEU, shit.
Yeah, bro. No, they're a team that I think can maybe make a little noise in March. I think they should probably cruise through this, but then as soon as I say that, they're going to lose. So that's minus 130. I'm going to throw a unit on that, or 1.3 to win one. My next one is going to be Southampton plus half a goal. Borussia Mönchengladbach versus who are they playing? I was just looking at it. Dave, want to help me out here?
Yeah, if I can look it up faster than you. Oh, also one thing that you love.
Oh, Leverkusen.
One thing that you love to see: the Phillies just beat the Yankees 15-0.
Love that.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, all good. All right, so the parlay is Southampton plus half a goal, Leverkusen and Mönchengladbach over 2 goals, and then Dortmund is playing Bayern this week. probably the biggest game in Germany all year. I'm going to take over 3 goals in that. That parlay comes out to plus 140. I'm throwing 2 units on it, 2 units to win 2.8 units. Going to need myself get up the leaderboard a little bit. And then my last one is going to be another soccer one. I'm going to take Barcelona to win the second leg. That doesn't mean they have to go through. They just have to be on the right side of the score line. They're going to have to score some goals. The last time I looked at it, it was plus 190. I'll have to take a look again. I just think for those odds, Barcelona is going to have to score. Even if they win 2-1 or something like that and they don't go through, it'd still be a win for me. So those are the picks for the week. Dave, you got something to ponder for us?
Yeah, I kind of just thought about this 10 seconds ago, so it might sound really dumb as usual. But just think about the concept of walls. You're putting I guess it's not wood. What is it like?
It's wood.
It is wood. All right. So it comes back to the tree guy, whoever decided to cut the tree. You're literally using wood to separate yourself from another person who's in their own little box of wood. I don't know. It's just a little strange to me.
All right. Well, hey, ponder that. We'll see you next week. We might. I think we're gonna have the interview that we have scheduled probably go on the next podcast, considering it will be March Madness week. And then, that's your hint. The next guest is a March Madness guy, so it'll be a very good one. One that I'm really interested and excited for. I think everybody else that is on here is also. So that'll be it for the week. Fellas, take care. We'll talk soon.
Peace.
Yep.